Welcome. This is part 2 on the vintage Pioneer SX434 receiver. If you haven't watched part 1, please go and watch that first. And if you have watched part 1, welcome back. So let's test this fuse, see what's going on. It looks good, this fuse. And yeah, it is good, that fuse. So there is nothing wrong with that fuse. So we'll pop that back in. And I think there's 2 more fuses to go. I think under that little square bit in the middle, it's going to have 2 fuses. It might just have 1. But I think it's going to have 2 under there, looking at the size of that plastic cap. So if the fuses under this part here, if they are good, then I really can't see any reason why this amplifier would get no power going through it. So we'll have to plug it in and get the tester on it and find out what's going on with it, because I really can't see any reason that would stop this thing doing something. So let's pop these 2 fuses out and give them a little test, see what's going on with these ones. They look good. I can see the little metal bit going across them, and they do not look black, so these fuses do look good. And there you go, that one is good. Pop it back in. Let's try the other one. Pull it out. They're in there nice and tight as well, them fuses. So the same again, just put my little tester on it. And there you go, that fuse is good. So I really can't see any reason why this thing wouldn't be doing anything. It could be the transformer's gone in it. But normally, when the transformer's gone, the transformer looks like it is well used. But just look at the transformer inside that one. That looks brand new. Everything inside this Pioneer looks in excellent condition. You got to think, this is 50 years old, and you look inside that, you don't come across many as good as this inside. This thing is like new inside. I wouldn't say this amplifier has been used much. It just looks too good, this one. It really does. So let's turn it round and then let's plug it in and get some power going through this thing. So I'm just going to make sure that is the on-off. Make sure it's off before I put it on. Just check that. Right, so that's off. So it is turned off at the switch. So let's plug it in and get some power going through it. So I'll turn that on. Turn it on. Right, so there was no bangs or no flashes, which is a good start. And I just put my hand then on the casing. You can't feel no buzzing from that transformer, and normally you can when they're stripped like this. If you touch the case, you'll feel that transformer buzzing if it is doing anything. So that transformer is not doing anything. It has not come to life. So first things first, let's test them little 2 outlet sockets on the back there, because they should have 240 coming out of them sockets, because you could plug your tuner or something into them. Right, so that one has 240 going through it. So that little outlet socket is working fine, that is getting power to it. See, there you can see the needle shot up. That is getting 240. But the other one is not doing anything. There is no power in that other one. And that one should have 240 as well. So next, I'm going to unplug it. Just because where this lead, both bits are black, the neutral and the live, I would just want to find out which one of that socket is the neutral, and then it's easier for me to trace the live away from the socket and see where it goes. So I just want to find out what one is the neutral, and I can leave one end of my probe in the neutral as well, and then just test with the other end of the probe, find out where we got power. Right, so it's that bottom one. The bottom one is the neutral on that socket. Normally it'd be straightforward. One would be blue, one would be brown, or one would be red and one would be black. But on this Pioneer they are both black. So I just put my tester back onto 240 volts, and now we know what the neutral is. I'll plug it back in, and then we'll go round and see if we can find any power running anywhere around this receiver. Must have some power going somewhere. So I put my tester back on this first socket to test that my tester's working good, and I know we've got 240 there because that is where the mains lead comes in. So if I go to the other outlet, there is nothing on that one. That one is dead as anything. So let's see if anything's going across the transformer. No, there is nothing going across that transformer whatsoever. That is totally dead. So I've just moved my camera and we go up to the power on off switch and see if that has got any power going to it or coming out of it. So I just moved my little tester up to there, and then we go on the power socket and see what's going on. 'Cause it must have something going somewhere, and it should have power going in and out of this on off switch because it is turned on. But it hasn't learned. There's nothing on that one. Nothing on that one. Nothing on that one. So the on-off switch looks dead. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Right, so I've got power only in one place on the on-off switch. So that has got power going in, but absolutely nothing coming out of it. So all we have got is that one terminal that's got power going into it, that one there. So this has got a problem with the on-off. Right, so I'll turn the power off, move my little tester out of the way, and then I shall unplug it, and we'll have to turn it round and have a good look at that on-off switch, because that's not right. It should have power coming out of it, but it hasn't. It's got power going in, but nothing coming out. So this one's definitely got a bad on-off switch. Oh, and I hope that's all that's wrong with it, because you'll easily get your hands on a new on-off switch for it, and it won't be that much money, an on-off switch for one of these Pioneers. People always breaking these up, and you can find the parts easy enough. So I've turned it round, and let's get right in there with my camera and see if we can see what's going on with it. So I'm wiggling that about now, and that feels like it's selecting, it's clicking and moving. It feels like it's working, but obviously it's not working. But it feels like it is, so we're just going to have to take it out. And there is like a little switch on the back of that bit that you turn, and that has a couple of little springs in it, and like a little butterfly bit and a ball, and that can all sort of fall apart or jam up, so it could be that. So I've got my pliers, take that nut off, and then I should be able to slide this on-off switch out. Oh no, and I've just remembered, I've done these amps before. To get that out, you have to take the whole faceplate off, because it's got a locking nut behind there holding it to the chassis, and that nut I've just took off is just holding the faceplate on. So you need to take the whole front plate off, so I'll have to whip that off quickly so we can get the on-off switch out and have a look at it. So I'll just pull all the knobs off it quickly, get them out of the way, take the last two off, and then there's another nut at this end, and then I think there will be some screws on the top somewhere holding this faceplate on. It won't just be them two nuts, it will have some screws somewhere. So I'll just whip that nut off there, and then we're turning it over and try and find the other screws, because there's none I can get to this side. That must be on the other side. So we're just turning it over and see if we can find out what else is holding that faceplate on. And right, I can see them. There's two screws just along the top here, so we'll whip them out and then the faceplate should come off. Right, so there's a Phillips screw here and exactly the same on the other side, so there is only two screws holding this top part on. So take that one out, And then move over and take this one out the other side, and then the faceplate should come straight off this thing. And there's like all the nuts behind it holding all the pots on. Right, so that faceplate should come off now. There you go, look, it's coming off easy. They do come apart easy, these Pioneers. Some amplifiers are really hard work taking apart, but these Pioneers are sort of designed well, and the way they're put together, they do come apart quite easy. Right, so let's turn it back over, and then I shall whip out the on-off switch and we'll have a look at it. And I'll just take these little buttons off before they fall off and I lose them. So they are the buttons, they just go on the front before the faceplate. And I've just felt that there, that nut is a little bit loose, that's why the on-off switch is rattling around a little bit. Only a tiny little bit loose, but I could just undo that with my fingers. But that would not stop it working, it still should be working. It was just that nut a tiny bit loose. So let's take the on-off out, and you can't take it out. It's connected to this. I think this is the headphone output. So it's connected to that, so you need to take that out as well. So whip that one out, and then the on-off switch should come out. And there you go, that is out. So the on-off switch is removed. So we'll get the camera in there and have a right good look at it, see what's going on. And it does feel alright. It is clicking and selecting. It feels a little bit loose, but it's definitely clicking and selecting. Right, here we go, here we go. I can see what's wrong with this. It's not turning on and off. It's got like a little pin that should go in the switch. It's not in there. So when you are turning the selector, he's not turning the switch on and off, and it looks a little bit wet and it feels a little bit loose, this switch. So someone's had a go at it with some spray, and they might have even had it apart, but obviously they didn't know what they was doing, and they've either had it apart and put it back together wrong, or just didn't notice the problem with it when they've tried to fix this on off. Because someone has had a go at it. Look how wet that is. That's had oil or spray or something put on it trying to sort it out. And sorry for the shaky footage. I'm trying to balance the camera on my knees and do this, so you'll have to just put up with a bit of shaky camera work for a minute. Right, so you see that bit there? I've got the end of the little brush on. Right, that is the on-off switch. That goes side to side, turns the power on and off. And you see that metal bit there? That should be in it. That should be inside that switch. And then when you turn it, it turns that switch on and off. But it's not even in there, so it can't turn the switch on and off because it's not in there. So at the minute, the switch must be off, and when you're turning the selector, it's not turning it on. So that little part there needs to be over the other side of that little lug there. And then when you turn the selector, it moves that lug to one side and turns it on. And then when you turn it off, it shuts. There's another lug the other side that would stand up. So there's like two lugs there. You can only see one because one's laying down because this thing is turned off. So that is why there is no power going through it. Look there, if I'm doing the selector, you see that little bit? It's not doing anything. That should be turning the switch on and off. So we need to get that little metal part there to over there, the other side of that lug, and then hopefully the switch will work. So we need to put that little lug back where it should be. And all this feels a bit loose. These screws feel loose. It's all a bit rattly. Someone has definitely been in here and had this apart or oiled it up or something. Someone has tried to fix this because there is all like yellowy oil over it. It's still really wet from oil. I'm getting it all over my hands. These screws were not tightened up very well. It is all a bit loose. So either someone that didn't know what they was doing has had this apart and put it back together wrong, or someone did know what they was doing and they found out that this on-off switch on the back here doesn't work, so there was no point putting it back together properly. They've just slapped it back together and sold it. So there might be a problem with that on-off switch at the back there. It might not work, but it might do. I need to put this the other side of that lug and try it. There may not be anything wrong with that switch and someone has just looked at this and not known what they was doing. But now that is back in the right place, so let's tighten it all back up. Do it up nice and tight, and then hopefully this will be working. If it isn't, there is a problem with that on-off switch at the back, which there could be, and that's why someone hasn't bothered putting it back together properly. They have sussed out that that switch is dead and just sold this receiver. But if that's the case, you'll easily get your hands on one of them switches, and you won't need to buy the whole thing, because all this front part with the wires and that on it is separate to that switch at the back. So you would be able to just buy a new switch for the back of this if that switch is dead. But before I buy a new switch, if it doesn't work, I would open it up and have a look inside, because there's like a butterfly part that moves, little springs, there's a little ball in there and stuff. And you just bend them metal tabs back and you can open the switch right up on one of these receivers. So I will go through the switch first if it is not working before I buy a new one, because you might be able to fix it. I have fixed them switches before. I don't think I've had a Pioneer one apart, but I've had them on other amplifiers apart, them switches. So I'm just going to put a knob back on that, because now I've tightened it up, that's quite hard to turn, and it feels how it should be. It should be quite hard to turn this selector. Before it was really rattly. But can you see that? Look, it's all working good. On, off. So you move it again, on, and then you turn it back, off. So it's doing like the toggle switch, turning it on and off that it was not doing before. So that is all back now correctly into its right position. So we need to plug it back in and try it. I will put the switch back in first, because I'm not going to try and hold the back of it with my hand and turn it on and off, because if that switch works, all them wires will become live. So let's get it back in so it's safe to turn on. So that's the switch back in. I just put my camera back on the tripod, and then we put the little nut on the front. And I'll just tighten it up. I'm only going to do it hand tight in case I need to have this switch back out. And then let's put the knob back on the front so you can turn it on and off. And let's get the plug and plug it in and then see what happens. Because you never know, this might be working now. It might not, but I really hope it does. Right, so that's turned it on. That is on now. So let's feel if the... Right, I can feel the transformer buzzing. I'm putting my hand on that now. I can feel a buzz running through that. So that transformer has kicked into action now. The transformer is buzzing away like a good one. I can feel it. Whereas before it was dead as anything. And look there, that's all lit up at the front. Oh, all the bulbs are working. Oh, so this thing might be back in action now. Look, off. On, and I can feel the transformer buzzing when I'm doing that, turning it on and off. So that little on-off switch, that is working properly. So whoever looked at this really didn't know what they was doing, because either they done that by taking it apart and putting it back together wrong, or that is what's wrong with it, and when they've tried to fix it, they have not noticed that that little pin needed to be the other side of that lug. Oh, so if that is all that was wrong with this Pioneer, then this thing was an excellent buy, because that is a really easy fix. Now, I'm not saying that is its only problem, but it does look like it, doesn't it? It looks like this thing is working now. It really does. So I think I need to do all this with deoxin now, because I've already got it stripped down so far. All you need to do is take that circuit board out from the top, and all the pots come out with it, and then you can get into all the pots and deoxin them. So while this is stripped down this far, it's worth going through it with deoxin and it needs that on-off switch cleaning right up, because that is all covered in manky yellow oil, which will not be doing it any good. So I do think the Pioneer SX434 might be back in action. So while it's stripped like this, I'm going to go right through it with dioxin and clean it up properly, because I do think this thing could be working now. So that will be the next video on this channel. I will go through this amplifier with dioxin and then put it back together and try it out. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.